The sky above was dark, not because of night, but because of the dust that never settled. Below, on the cracked ground of Zereth 9, the humans stepped off the ships like ghosts, tired, confused, and unwanted. They had been cast out, not criminals, not monsters, but people. Some were scientists, some were teachers, some were soldiers who had fought for peace. Now they were exiles. Above them, the alien ships hovered like silent judges before turning back to the stars. The message was clear. You are on your own now, Jake. Morrow looked up at the sky long after the ships were gone. He had worked on spacecraft engines once, back when Earth still mattered. Now, all he had was what he could carry and what he could think. Nearby, Lena Cruz knelt down and touched the dirt. It was dry, gray, and lifeless. She had studied plants, how they grew, how they survived. Here, there was nothing. No grass, no trees, not even weeds. This place is dead, she whispered. Then we bring life, said Daniel Reyes, standing beside her. He had seen war, loss, and ruin. But he also knew something else people could build if they had to. They didn't have much. Food, water, tools all limited. The aliens had given them just enough to survive a few weeks, maybe a month. After that, it was up to them. The first days were chaos. People argued over shelter, over rations, over hope. Some believed death was coming soon. Others thought maybe they could find a way. Jake started working on the machines they had left. Broken air filters, old solar panels, damaged oxygen tanks. He took them apart, fixed them, made them work again. Slowly, the group began to breathe easier. Lena searched for anything that might grow. She tested the soil, mixed it with waste, tried seeds from their supplies. Most died, but one plant, a tough little bean, held on. Daniel kept order. He trained people to work together, to watch for danger, to protect what little they had. He built walls from ship scraps, set up patrols, and made sure no one gave up. Weeks passed. The wind howled across the land, but the humans stayed. They dug for water, found ice under the ground, and learned to melt it. One day, Jake stood by the edge of a new camp and looked around. There were lights in the shelters, smoke from fires, voices in the air. He smiled. Just a little. They were not home yet, but they were building something. And that was enough for now. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The wind howled across Zereth 9, like a beast that never slept. Nights were cold enough to bite deep, and days burned with a cruel sun. The sky stayed gray most of the time, heavy with dust and silence. Many thought they would not last the first month, but the humans did not stop. Jake Morrow worked every day with what little he had. He fixed broken machines, made new tools from scrap, and built better air filters so people could breathe easier. He taught others how to do the same, and soon more hands were helping. Lena Cruz kept trying to grow things. She mixed soil with waste, melted ice for water, and built small greenhouses out of broken glass and metal frames. Most plants died, but some held on. One kind of potato grew even in the poor dirt, and it became food for many. Daniel Reyes made sure everyone stayed safe. He set up guards, trained people to carry tools like weapons, and made rules so fights wouldn't break out. When a group tried to steal food, he stopped them not with violence, but with words and strength. Slowly, the camp grew into something more than survival. They dug deeper for ice, found more under the ground than they had hoped. They built pipes to carry melted water to different parts of the camp. They used old wires and broken panels to make power again. Began to believe they might live after all. Children ran between shelters, laughing even though they didn't know why. Old men sat by fires and told stories of Earth, of cities, of oceans and forests long gone. Young women and men took turns watching the skies, hoping for ships, but not begging for rescue. One night, Jake looked at the lights of their growing camp and said, "We're not just surviving anymore." Lena smiled and handed him a tiny plant. Its leaves were tough, its roots deep. "This thing's alive," she said. "And so are we." Daniel stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the people move like ants through the dark. "Then we build," he said. "And we don't stop." Zereth 9 was still a hard place, still dangerous. But the humans were not weak. They were learning, adapting, making the planet bend to them instead of the other way around. They had been sent here to die, but they were doing the opposite. They were living and they were just getting started. The wind howled across Zereth 9 like a beast that never slept. Nights were cold enough to bite deep, and days burned with a cruel sun. The sky stayed gray most of the time, heavy with dust and silence. Many thought they would not last the first month, but the humans did not stop. Jake Morrow worked every day, with what little he had. He fixed broken machines, made new tools from scrap, and built better air filters so people could breathe easier. He taught others how to do the same, and soon more hands were helping. Lena Cruz kept trying to grow things. She mixed soil with waste, melted ice for water, and built small greenhouses out of broken glass and metal frames. Most plants died, but some held on. One kind of potato grew even in the poor dirt, and it became food for many. Daniel Reyes made sure everyone stayed safe. He set up guards, trained people to carry tools like weapons, and made rules so fights wouldn't break out. When a group tried to steal food, he stopped them not with violence, but with words and strength. Slowly, the camp grew into something more than survival. They dug deeper for ice, found more under the ground than they had hoped. They built pipes to carry melted water to different parts of the camp. They used old wires and broken panels to make power again. Began to believe they might live after all. Children ran between shelters, laughing even though they didn't know why. Old men sat by fires and told stories of Earth, of cities, of oceans and forests long gone. Young women and men took turns watching the skies, hoping for ships, but not begging for rescue. One night, Jake looked at the lights of their growing camp and said, "We're not just surviving anymore." Lena smiled and handed him a tiny plant. Its leaves were tough, its roots deep. "This thing's alive," she said, "and so are we." Daniel stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the people move like ants through the dark. "Then we build," he said, "and we don't stop." Zereth 9 was still a hard place, still dangerous. But the humans were not weak. They were learning, adapting, making the planet bend to them instead of the other way around. They had been sent here to die, but they were doing the opposite. They were living, and they were just getting started. Time moved forward on Zereth 9. Not gentle or kind, but steady. The humans kept building, kept learning, kept surviving. Months passed like slow steps up a hill. The camp grew into something more than just tents and firelight. Walls rose from the dust, made from old ship parts and stone. Pipes carried water across the land. Windmills turned in the cold air, making power from the planet's endless winds. Jake Morrow worked harder than ever. He fixed broken machines until they ran again, built new tools out of nothing, and taught others how to do the same. He had once flown ships in his dreams. Now he was building a world. Lena Cruz walked through rows of green plants under glass. They were strange, twisted leaves, thick roots, colors that didn't match Earth plants. She had changed them, made them tough enough for Zereth 9. Some grew fast. Some stayed small, but all lived when nothing else could. "We're not just planning," she told a group of young workers. "We're creating." Daniel Reyes trained people every day. He taught them how to move, how to watch, how to stay calm when danger came. The planet was still wild, still full of storms and silence. But so were they. The humans began to change too. They talked faster, thought quicker, worked harder. They learned to read the sky, to feel the wind, to know when the ground would crack. Children born here never saw trees, but they climbed rocks like they were mountains. They played in dust like it was snow. One morning, Jake stood on a ridge and looked down at the growing town below. Lights shined in the dark. Smoke rose from cooking fires. Voices filled the air. He smiled. This place was not Earth. It was not soft or safe. But it was home now. Nina Garcia, a woman who studied rocks and dirt, found something deep in the ground one day. Metal, not human, not broken. It pulsed with quiet power. This planet isn't dead, she said. It's just waiting. And the humans knew what to do with waiting. They had come here to die. But instead, they were waking something up. Together, they were not just surviving. They were becoming something new. And they were ready for whatever came next. Asterisk, asterisk. The wind howled through the canyons like it was warning them. But Nina Garcia and her team kept walking. They had been following strange readings for days. Heat under the ground. Metal not made by human hands. They came to a deep crack in the rock, wide enough to fall into and dark as night. Jake Morrow looked down and saw something that didn't belong on this dead world. Stone walls, broken but real. Shapes carved into the rock that looked like doors. Old machines half buried in dust. This place is old, Nina said, voice low. Older than us, older than the aliens who sent us here. They climbed down with ropes and lights. What they found made their breath stop, rooms filled with strange machines. Round stones floating in the air. Lines of light running along the walls like veins. Some things were broken. Some still hummed with quiet power. Lena Cruz touched one of the glowing lines. It pulsed under her fingers. This isn't just a ruin, she whispered. It's still alive. Back at the town, talk spread fast. The humans had lived long enough to build homes, grow food, and survive the cold. Now they had found something more. Jake spent his days studying the alien tech. He took pieces apart, tried to understand how they worked. He found energy sources unlike any they had seen, clean, strong, and endless if used right. Nina and her team dug deeper. They found more ruins, more machines. Some started working again when they connected them to human-made power. One machine cleaned the air better than anything they had built. Another pulled water from dry ground. Slowly, they began to use the alien tech to change the planet. Daniel Reyes watched it all with careful eyes. He knew that power could bring danger. So he trained more people, made sure everyone stayed safe, and warned that others might come looking for what they had found. Weeks passed. Then months. With the help of the old alien machines, the humans made life easier. Crops grew faster. Clean air filled new shelters. Heat spread through homes even in the coldest nights. And then came the biggest change. They used the alien systems to seed the land, not just plants, but whole fields of green. They mixed human farming with alien tech, and the planet began to change. For the first time since they arrived, the sky above Zereth 9 did not feel like a prison. It felt like a promise. They had come here to die. But now, they were building something greater than they had ever dreamed. Something new. Something powerful. Something truly theirs. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Word traveled slow through space, but not slow enough. The aliens had thought Zereth 9 would be the end of the humans, a quiet grave on a dead world. They never expected to hear back. But they did. Whispers at first. Then clear messages from hidden human scouts. Reports of green fields where there was only dust before. Of lights shining across the dark. Of machines that once belonged to the old ones now working again, run by human hands. The Galactic Council sat up and took notice. Some were surprised. Others were scared. A small alien ship came to Zereth 9. It landed far from the town, careful and quiet. Out stepped beings unlike any human, tall, thin, with eyes like stars. They were watchers, not fighters. They came to see, not to speak. They saw more than they expected. They walked through streets made of metal and stone. They watched children play near growing trees. They ate food grown in alien soil, cooked by human hands. They saw machines that pulsed with old power, now used for new life. Jake Morrow showed them the farms, the power lines, the clean water pulled from dry ground. We didn't just survive, he said. We built. Lena Cruz showed them seeds changed by science, plants tough enough to live here. She called them Zerbians now, after the planet that tried to kill them. Daniel Reyes stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the aliens look and listen. He knew what they were thinking. They were wondering if humans were still weak, still easy to control. They weren't. When the aliens finally spoke, they asked questions. How? When? Who led this? Jake answered without pride. Lena without anger. Daniel without fear. Before the aliens left, one of them looked at Jake and said, "You have done what we could not." He didn't smile, just nodded. As the ship lifted off, the humans watched it go. Some felt hope. Some felt worry. "They'll come back," Daniel said. "Maybe," Jake replied. "But next time, they'll know who we are." Above them, the sky was still gray, but under their feet, the land was alive. They had been cast out. Now, they were something else. Not exiles. Not prisoners. They were builders, and they were ready for whatever came next. Asterisk, 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 the message came from the stars, cold and clear. The Galactic Council demanded answers. Not as friends, but as rulers who had been ignored for too long. They wanted what the humans had found. The alien tech, the energy sources, the machines that could change worlds. They called it shared heritage. But everyone on Zereth 9 knew what it really was. Control. Jake Morrow. Read the message twice before shutting off the screen. He stood in the old command tent, now more like a war room than a shelter. Maps of the land, plans for new farms, and diagrams of alien machines covered the walls. "They don't want to share," Lena Cruz said, arms crossed. "They want to take." Daniel Reyes nodded. He had expected this. The aliens had sent watchers first. Now they would send something else. And they did. Weeks later, ships appeared in the sky. Not small scout crafts this time. Big ones, heavy, built for war. Humans didn't panic. Not this time. They had spent years turning Zereth 9 into a home. Now they would turn it into a fortress. Daniel led the defense teams. People trained every day. They built walls stronger than stone, set up hidden posts across the land, used alien tech to make weapons that could reach the sky. Jake worked without rest. He took the alien power cores and made them work with human-built systems. He created shields that blocked enemy scans, guns that could fire from the ground into orbit, drones that flew silent and watched everything. Lena helped keep the people fed. She expanded the farms, made sure there was food stored deep underground. If the aliens tried to starve them out, they would find nothing but full silos and strong hearts. When the alien fleet landed their shuttles, they expected fear, surrender, maybe even begging. What they got was different. As the alien leaders stepped onto the dust-covered ground, they were met not by frightened exiles, but by a line of humans in armor standing tall. Behind them rose towers of metal and glass. Lights shined in the dark. Windmills turned in the cold air. A voice came through the speakers built into the city walls. "You sent us here to die." It was Jake's voice. "But we built, then Lena's, we grew, then Daniel's, and now we stand." The aliens. looked around, unsure. They had come with power. But the humans had come with something stronger. They had come with purpose. Years passed on Zereth 9, and the planet changed like no one had dreamed. What was once a dead world was now alive. Green. Fields stretched across the land. Rivers ran where there had been only dust. Cities rose from stone and steel, built by human hands and powered by old alien hearts. The humans were not the same as when they arrived. They were stronger, smarter, tougher. They had learned to listen to the wind, read the sky, and make life. Grow where none had before. Children were born who had never seen Earth. They knew only Zereth 9, and they called it home. Jake Morrow walked through the city he helped build. Streets buzzed with life. Machines hummed with power. Farmers worked under glass domes, growing food that fed thousands. He saw young people fixing tools, flying drones, learning how to keep the world running. He smiled. This was more than survival. This was living. Lena Cruz stood in a garden full of plants. She had changed herself. Some looked like trees, others like vines. All could live in the hard soil and wild winds of Zereth 9. She touched a fruit, red and warm, in her hand. We didn't. Just grow food, she said to a group of students. We grew hope. Daniel Reyes watched the skies from a high post. Ships came now not to attack, but to trade, to learn, to ask for help. Other exiled groups reached out, looking for a place to belong. The new Terrans welcomed them. They had been cast out. Now they were building something bigger than any one world. Above the city, carved into a stone wall where everyone could see, were words that told the truth. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. Far away, among the stars, the aliens watched and wondered. They had sent humans here to end them. Instead, they had made them grow. And somewhere deep in space, a new message spread among other worlds. Watch thee. Humans, they are doing what no one else can. They had come to die. But instead, they had thrived. And they were just getting started. Asterisk. Not all stories end where you expect them to. On Zereth 9, life kept growing. Not just plants, not just people, but ideas. Ships began arriving from faraway places. Not alien warships this time, but small ones. Some carried families looking for home. Others brought traders, scientists, even old soldiers who wanted to fight for something real. The humans welcomed them. They built new towns beyond the first city. They dug deep into the planet's bones and found more alien machines, still sleeping. Jake Morrow and his team learned how to wake them up. Piece by piece, one of the machines could send signals across space farther than any human tech had. Reached before. So they sent a message. Not a cry for help, not a warning. Just the truth. We are here. We are alive, and we are ready to stand on our own. The signal went out, spinning through the stars like a seed on the wind. Back in the Galactic Council, some aliens laughed. Others were angry, but a few listened. A small group of ships left Council space, flying toward Zereth 9, not to take, not to judge, but to learn. When they arrived, they saw what the humans had done. Cities lit by alien suns. Farms stretching across valleys once dead. Children running barefoot through dust that now fed life. One of the aliens asked Lena Cruz a simple question. How did you do it? She smiled and handed him a seed. You start with something small, she said, and you believe it can grow. Daniel Reyes stood nearby, watching the visitors with careful eyes. He knew peace didn't last forever, but for now, they were safe. For now, they were strong. Jake looked at the sky and thought about the future. Xerath-9 was their home, but it wasn't the end. It was only the beginning, and somewhere out there, among the stars, other humans might be waiting, lost, alone, forgotten. Maybe. One day, they would find their way here, or maybe the new Terrans would go to them, because they had learned one thing better than anyone else. Humans don't just survive. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Not every message sent into space came from XERATH-9. Some had been floating through the stars long before the humans arrived. Silent calls from forgotten worlds. Broken voices asking for help that never came. One day, Jake Morrow found one of those messages. He was working deep inside an alien machine when he found a hidden chamber. It pulsed with old light and quiet hums. At its center was a screen, cracked, but still alive. The message played. A voice, tired, desperate, spoke in a language not quite human. Lena Cruz helped translate. It was from a lost colony, humans, people like them. They had been sent away too, but they had vanished. Their signal lost in time. Now it had been found. Jake stared at the screen long after the message ended. They might still be out there, he said. Daniel Reyes stood beside him, arms crossed. Then we find them. Word spread fast through the city. The humans had survived exile, built a world, and stood up to those who thought they could be controlled. And now they had a new purpose. To reach out. To search. To bring others home. Teams were formed. Engineers worked on better ships. Pilots trained for long flights. Lena and her scientists studied the message again and again, trying to find clues about where it came from. Zereth-9 had taught them how to live with little, how to grow with nothing, how to fight when they had to. Now, those lessons would take them to the stars. Months passed like breaths in the wind. Machines were fixed. New ships rose from old parts. The first crew stepped aboard a rebuilt vessel, ready to leave. Jake watched them go. He didn't go with them. His place was here, helping build what would come next. But he knew something big had just begun. The humans of Zereth-9 were no longer exiles. They were explorers. They were builders. They were not waiting to be saved anymore. They were doing the saving. And across the stars, somewhere in the dark, other humans might be listening. Waiting. Hoping. For someone to say, "We are coming. We will find you. We are family." Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The first ship left Zereth-9 like a bird learning to fly. It was not fast. It was not perfect. But it was built by human hands, powered by alien hearts, and filled with hope. On board were 10 people, engineers, pilots, scientists, and one young woman named Maya Ellis, who had never left the planet's surface. She had studied every message they found, traced every lost signal, and now she would follow them into the stars. Jake Morrow stood at the edge of the launch pad and watched the ship rise. Dust swirled in the wind. Lights blinked in the dark. Then, silence. They were gone. Back in the city, life kept moving. Farms grew. Machines hummed. Children ran through streets lit by old alien power. But now, eyes turned to the sky more often. Waiting, hoping, listening. Weeks passed. Then months. And then a voice came back. We found something. It was Maya's voice, tired but full of wonder. The crew had followed the old message across empty space, past broken stars and silent worlds, until they found a place where humans had landed long ago, just like on XERATH-9. But this world was worse. No green fields, no growing life, only ruins and fear. The colony had barely survived. Food was low, water was scarce, and the people there had almost given up. Until the ship arrived. When the news reached Zereth-9, the city came alive. People cheered, some cried. Jake smiled and said only one thing: then we go get them. Daniel Reyes began planning the next mission. Lena Cruz packed seeds and tools for planting. Engineers worked on bigger ships, stronger ones. Soon more humans would leave Zereth-9 not as exiles, but as rescuers. As family. As proof that humans did not forget each other. And far away, on a cold and lonely world, a group of lost humans looked up at the sky. And for the first time in years, they saw something bright coming toward them. Help had arrived. Not from aliens. Not from dreams. From other humans. And they knew they were not alone anymore.